Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at the suggestions passed to developers once again, and this time we're having a look at the ground forces stuff. There's a bunch of pretty cool things in this ground forces setup, and also just kind of shows the possibilities of what we could get, especially at the ranks just slightly above top tier. Let's get into them and see what's on offer. The first vehicle is the M10 Booker. This is the General Dynamics Land Systems M10 Booker, or formerly known as the Griffin II. It's a light tank that shares its designation with the 3-inch gun motor carriage, the M10, as well as being named after two heroes of the US, Army Distinguished Cross recipient SSG Stephen Booker, who was a tank commander during the famous Thunder Run to Baghdad during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and also Medal of Honor recipient Private Robert Booker, who fought with valor in the Tunisia campaign during the Second World War. The M10 Booker was developed for the Army's Mobile Protection Firepower Program, a program to create an airdroppable support vehicle to assist ground units during initial assaults. It was first revealed in 2019 at the Modern Day Marine Exposition. It is equipped with an XM35 105mm rifle gun, a newly developed advanced lightweight gun in a turret that is a downsized version of the M1A2 Set V3 main battle tank turret. This allows the Booker to be familiar to tank crews, as well as integrate the fire control systems of the Set V3. This includes the second generation FLIR, or the Raytheon Gunnery's primary sight, and the Safran Paseo commander's sight. The vehicle also carries the Metropib Pillar 5 crew warning system, which is designed to alert crews of incoming fire, as well as provide bearing to originating source. The driver uses the Leonardo driver's vision enhancer wide in the front and rear, a thermal imaging camera system covering a wide arc for situational awareness in both day and also night operations. The driver likely uses a thermal-capable periscope similar to the driver's vision enhancer Abrams sight on top of the DVE wide. It is expected to weigh around 34 to 38 tons due to its modular armor, and is capable of having two fit inside a C-17 Globemaster III military transport aircraft. The tank hull is designed from the Ascod family of armored fighting vehicles from which the Ajax AFV originates. The vehicle is rated to protect the crew against 30mm APDS rounds on the frontal arc as well as 14.5mm AP rounds on the sides. The vehicle is powered by a Rolls-Royce MTU 8V199 TE21 15.9-litre diesel engine that produces 820 horsepower, paired with an automatic Allison 3040 MX cross-drive transmission, giving the Booker an edge in mobility with an expected top speed of around 65 km an hour. The vehicle is manned by a crew of 4, driver, gunner, commander, and also loader, with ammunition being stored in a separate section of the tank with blowout panel capability to increase crew survivability. According to Army representatives during the Chieftain's Hatch interview, developing teams are assessing the viability of adding a laser warning receiver and also active protection system to the vehicle. These two systems would likely be the Israeli Iron Fist decoupled hard kill system and the ANV VR4 laser warning system. The first of this year's 96 M10's Bookers is expected to be formally handed over to the US Army in October, with the mission to support ground units during initial phases of conflict as well as low-level conflict. The Army expects to field a total of 504 of the combat vehicles. For Britain, we have the tracked Rapier, the RCM 784. Amid convoluted circumstances, the Rapier missile system was developed to replace outdated anti-aircraft guns in the defence of British airfields. It first consisted of 4 missiles on a 2-wheel trailer mount, a pulse Doppler surveillance radar dish rotating at 60 RPM with a 15-kilometer range, and also an IFF, an identification, friend or foe, radome on top. The missile used a SACLOS guidance system, a separate optical guidance and pointing unit, with a wide FOV of 20 degrees and a narrow FOV of 4.8 degrees. It was used by the operators to select the target before firing. Once fired, the operator would continue to manually track the target using his joystick. The missile is captured by the infrared tracking system after launch. The infrared system has a wide FOV of 11 degrees and a narrow FOV of 0.55 degrees, which automatically guides it onto the target through radio commands issued by the launcher. Interestingly, this means that no radar lock is actually needed, so the surveillance radar can carry on looking for targets. Any receiving RWR would still receive pings, but might not be aware that you're firing at them due to a lack of lock tone. The Rapier system had two major versions before it was converted into a tracked Rapier, the FSA and also the FSB. The FSB added a few minor upgrades, mainly the ability to turn off the search radar in case of anti-radiation attack. After being fitted to tracked Rapiers, the towed variant would continue to be improved and is still in service with some countries today. A new mobile anti-aircraft vehicle was needed to protect chieftain tanks that were being sold to Iran in a lucrative deal. BAC responded by fitting a Rapier system to the M584 cargo transport, with development starting in 1974. After significant changes to the original M584, the new vehicle was designated the RCM 748 with additional armor, a new diesel generator, and 8 missiles on a 360-degree mounting. The tracked Rapier was a great success, cutting moving to firing time down from 15 minutes for a towed Rapier system to 30 to 15 seconds for the tracked Rapier, and able to move off again in as little as 20 seconds. In order to deploy the IR dish at the front of the launcher, it had to be raised into the firing position above the cab to ensure a full 360 capability. At some point during its development, it was shown off during the 1977 Paris Air Show. The optical guidance system was placed in the right side of the crew cab and elevated through the roof of operation. The left side of the cab contained the driver and the tactical controller, who possessed a helmet-mounted sight. The base system that they had fitted was not perfect, however, and lacked all-weather capabilities. To aid this, a separate radar guidance unit was developed, Blind Fire. The tracked Rapier lacked additional space, so this was carried by a second M584 or RCM 748, but not required. The deal with Iran fell through in 1978, and the British Army purchased the contract, eventually accepting the tracked Rapier in 1981 and bringing it into service later in 1983. After the introduction of FSB-1, or Field Standard B1, tracked Rapiers were upgraded with a thermal imaging tracker known as TOS, or Tracked Optically Thermally Enhanced, to enable it to operate in all-weather conditions without being use of a blind fire unit. The tracked Rapier was then retired in the 90s, being replaced by the Stormer HVM. For Japan, we have the OI Heavy Tank. The Japanese army planned to develop a super heavy tank with an unprecedented weight of 150 tons, based on lessons learned from the Nomahan incident, which involved armed conflict with Soviet tank units on the Manchuria Outer Mongolia border between May and September of 1939. This plan is said to have been carried out by Colonel Takao Iwakata of the Ministry of War on his own initiative without following any formal procedures. This super heavy tank adopted the concept of being disassembled and transported to the rear of the battle line, where it would be assembled and completed, with the dream of creating a mobile fortress of absolute power that would suddenly appear on the battlefield. The secret name of this vehicle in the army was the Oisha, which means large car number 1, and among the employees of Mitsubishi Heavy Industry, Tokyo Kiki Sasai Shuko, which was responsible for the design, it was called the Mito Sha, taking the first letter of the company's name. Production of the vehicle began in April of 1941, with the basic design being carried out by the Army Headquarters, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Tokyo Kiki Seikushiko, which being selected as the manufacturer, and all assembly to be carried out by the Sagami Army Arsenal. However, it was full of problems, such as a reduction in the number of people involved in drafting work and production arrangements not yet completed. Despite these circumstances, Mitsubishi Heavy Industry continued manufacturing and completed the vehicle body. The decision was made to manufacture the turret on the 26th of March 1942, but it was delayed due to a lack of steel at the arsenal. It was then disassembled and transported from the Mitsubishi Heavy Industry factory to the Sagami arsenal, and disassembly and transportation took place from the 26th of May to the 9th of June 1943, and assembly took place from the 1st of July to the 20th in 1943. From the 1st of August 43, running tests of the vehicle equipped with a wooden turret began, and unfortunately, the tests showed that the engine was unreliable, tests were cancelled, and the prototype was dismantled in late 1944. So, never really finished, unfortunately. It was planned to have the Type 96 15 howitzer as a main turret, a secondary armament of one set of 47mm tank guns in two secondary turrets at the front, and then one mounted gun on the rear, a Type 97 7.7mm vehicle, millimeter machine gun, which would be converted into a twin machine gun. It would also have decent armor on the front and the sides, and two water-cooled engines running at 600 horsepower. We also have another air defense system, the Antelope. The Antelope Chien 1 TC-1 surface-to-air defense missile system is a point surface-to-air missile defense system designed to operate independently to intercept aircraft, UAVs, and helicopters, as well as protect critical infrastructure. Development began in 1995 by the Chien Institute of Science and Technology to develop an air defense system capable of integrating with nearby air defense units to create a blanket defense as well as operate independently with the capability of firing on the move. The Antelope soon entered service in 1997, providing the ROC Air Force and Army a universal SHORAD platform that still is in use today. The system is currently being upgraded with the new TC-2 Skysword II missile system. The system is mounted on a 4x4 light tactical Toyota truck chassis and includes targeting, guidance, communication components, and the TC-1 Skysword missiles. It operates the mobile CS MPQ-78 fire control radar, a set of search and tracking radars that also operates with the forward-looking infrared systems. Also included in the sensor capabilities of the Antelope is an auxiliary passive electro-optical tracker with a built-in laser rangefinder. The Antelope, coupled with the mobile fire control radar, the CSMPQ-78, developed by the Chien Institute of Science and Technology, which is composed of a search radar, track radar, and a photoelectric monitor. The search and track radars cover both medium altitude and low altitude airspace, with a distance precision accuracy of around 10 meters. The search radar has a maximum range of 30 kilometers and integrates also IFF system and associated 20 kilometer range real-time tracking radar. An auxiliary passive electro-optical tracker with a built-in laser rangefinder can be used at ranges of up to 10,000 meters in clear weather. The interceptor for the system is the Tien 1 missile, also known as the TC-1 Skysword missile. It was developed as an air-to-air missile in the 1980s for Taiwan's Air Force, before also being chosen for the Antelope air defense system. It uses an infrared guidance system to intercept its targets. The system is operated by a crew of two, one gunner and one observer. The gunner is able to fight the system from within the cabin of the truck or from a tripod-mounted control console up to 70 meters away from the vehicle. The Antelope is able to launch while on the move and has a brightness-adjustable console for night or low visibility operations. It operates successfully with both radar and FLIR systems and has its own self-contained simulator mode for training purposes. The Antelope has a maximum effective range of 9,000 meters and maximum altitude range of 3,000 meters. We also have the Leonardo M60A3 upgrade. The Italian company Leonardo, in 2017, presented an updated version of an example of the M60A3. The purpose of this update was to give the possibility to those nations that have the M60A3 in service to have an economical update more in line with the MBT's third generation, which would have higher cost. Naturally, all the main systems and subsystems have been updated, starting with the main gun, which is no longer the M68E1 105mm, but the new Ottomalara 120mm L45, which offers greater firepower and better mechanical characteristics thanks to the low recoil force. This armament, combined with the Lothar sight and also Term's digital fire control system, gives hunter-killer capabilities and also increases effective range. The weapon is capable of firing standard 120mm NATO smoothbore ammunition. The secondary armament consists of a coaxial 7.62mm MG and a 12.7mm remote-controlled heavy machine gun mounted on the turret roof. The engine also has been updated and has 908 horsepower worth of power. The transmission has also been overhauled, as well as the suspension, tracks, and also wheels. All of this to achieve better mobility and also performance. For France, we have the AMX VCI TA20, which was one of many developments based on the AMX VCI chassis. The chassis was a French IFV based on the AMX 13 chassis. It was developed for a 1952 request from the French government for an APC. The vehicle changed names a couple of times, starting its life as Transport de Troupe Chien Model 56, and eventually ending up as the VCI, which stands for Vehicle de Combat d'Infanterie. Just like its light tank brother, the AMX-13, the AMX VCI was a great success domestically, but also abroad. More than 3,300 units of the vehicle were built and exported to a wide variety of nations. Of course, such a large production number means that a large variety of variants were developed over time. One of these was fitted with the TA-20 turret, a French anti-air turret that itself had also been fitted to a large variety of platforms. The TA-20 turret is fitted with two 20mm HS-820 SL autocannons. Each of these cannons had a fire rate of up to 1,000 rounds per minute. An AAT-52 or AAT-NF1 machine gun is also coaxially mounted and used for self-defense. The system can optionally also feature an RA-20 search and track radar, but can also feature a TV tracker. Other optional features in the turret are an IFF system and also laser rangefinder. France actually never ended up adopting the AMX VCI TA-20 or the TA-20 turret in general for that matter. And while the combination was also not acquired by any foreign users, the TA-20 turret itself would go on to become a success. It was acquired by many nations and fitted on a wide variety of vehicles. Most commonly, it was combined with the Panhard M3 platform. We then have the Achzarit Mark II, the RCWS-30. Not much is known about this prototype, but it is known to be a testbed for the Rafael's RCWS-30 combat module. The system was also tested and promoted on IDF's M113s, on domestic-made Namer APCs, and also on other foreign APCs. All these prototypes were made to showcase the versatility of the system, that it can be installed both on tracked platforms and on wheeled ones. All what is needed is a flat roof where it could be installed. This particular prototype was made in a singular module. The platform, as its name suggests, was the Achzarit Mark II, which itself is a heavy APC that the IDF converted from surplus of decommissioned Turan MBTs. There was not much footage of it, since all of it was made on Rafael's test sites for development work and also promotional videos. The reality in which Israel was at the time, with regular interruptions in the supply of defense equipment by the West, taught the Israeli defense industry to carefully use the available weapons. Many types of armored vehicles were repeatedly modernized, and when further modernization becomes impossible, they were converted into other types of armored vehicles. T-54s and 55s were no exception. Hundreds of them were captured from enemy states, and as Israel they became Turans. They were modernized to meet the standards of the IDF Armored Corps, but as the time went on and Turans started to become obsolete against modern threats, so there were several attempts to bring a new breath to the tanks, like some of our program, but all of them failed. So it was decided to sell Turans to foreign countries, but it was also a failure. Only some Turans were sold to Uruguay, and many Turans found themselves in scrapyards. War in Lebanon initiated a need in the IDF for a well-protected APC. It showed that standard APCs like the M113 could hardly withstand RPGs with its poor protection, and the whole range of third-generation manpads used by Hezbollah. So the idea came out to convert all Turan 4 SHs and also 5 SHs into a heavy and well-protected APC. This conversation was the first of its kind, and afterwards it inspired many similar designs worldwide. The original upper part of the chassis was entirely removed, and the lower part was deeply modified. A new, more modern and compact NVIDIA 650 horsepower engine was installed, which consisted of an 8-cylinder 2-stroke water-cooled diesel engine, the Detroit Diesel 8V71TTA, developing a power of 650 from General Motors, and an XTG 411-4 hydro-mechanical transmission from Allison. And due to its compact size, it was placed off-center to the rear left part of the APC, to make a room for right rear access door. The original drivetrain and torsion bars were apparently left unchanged. A troop compartment was created in the central part, and 3 crew members were located in the front, and 7 infantrymen were placed behind them. Protection, being the main goal of the development, consists of new add-on armor glacis at the front, and thick side armor made of ERA modules inserted into bulkheads, parts of composite armor up to 200mm thick. And the roof was covered with ERA bricks to protect the crew and infantry from top attack threats. Then you have the Achzarit Siman II. This was the second generation of APC, developed and manufactured in the late 90s. With the combat experience gained in Lebanon, similarly to the Makava, the Achzarit received improvements, which included a new 850 horsepower diesel engine manufactured by NVIDIA, consisting once again of the Detroit Diesel 8V92TA and the General Motors XTG 411-5 hydro-mechanical transmission from Allison, and also armor upgrades. APC also underwent other minor modifications, but the main layout with the 3 crew members in the front, troop compartment in the middle, engine in the rear left and right access door. As of 2004, the manufacturers claim that the machine can withstand repeated 125mm APF-SDS hits over its frontal arc. Both of these APCs have one thing in common: their firepower is very weak. It consists of, in the most cases, 7.62mm low-caliber machine guns, and in some cases 12.7mm OWSs, but this prototype solves the problem, since the installed RCWS-30 is armed to the teeth with a variety of weapons to deal with all kinds of threats, which rightfully gives the Achzarit the IFV status. It has a high level of protection in the hull and low silhouette that in combination provides infantry and crew a high level of survivability on the battlefield, protecting them from almost all modern threats. The manufacturers claim that the machine gun can withstand, or the machine, can withstand repeated 125mm APF-SDS shells, as well as giving the soldiers the ability to operate in contaminated areas. Currently, the Achzarit is the most protected personal carrier in the world, but not counting the Namer. The armor consists of add-on armor with the ERA blocks for obvious reasons, and the firepower is a 30mm Mark 44 Bushmaster II autocannon, which is a powerful and destructive, capable of firing API, HEI, APF-SDS-T munitions with a good rate of fire. It's also presented already on the VCC-8030 in-game. The secondary armament is a twin-tube launcher capable of firing modern Spike missiles of various models. The Spike is a well-known Israeli fire-and-forget missile, designed and manufactured by Rapier. To hit an enemy target, you must first laser-lock the target, and the machinery will do its job. The calculation of the trajectory will take a few seconds, and then it is possible to change positions during the flight of the missile. The RCWS-30 also consists of a coaxial 7.62. The RCWS-30 has 230mm rounds ready to fire in a dual-feed setup, 460 for the 7.62mm coax, and then 2 spikes in the launchers. More can be stored in the hull, and observation, selection, and targeting are carried out by the color/CCD camera with ×10 continuous zoom, and there's also a night sight, which is the cooled FLIR. The RCWS-30 elevation angles are -20 and +60 degrees, and turret traverse is 360 degrees, and the whole system is also equipped with a 2-plane stabilizer. Then we have the Leopard 2 SG. During the early 2000s, the Singapore Armed Forces were looking into replacing Singapore's AMX-13, named the SM-1 tanks, which were in service since 1969. as part of the founding of the 41st Singapore Armoured Regiment. The move to replace the MX-13s came about after Malaysia was finalising orders to acquire Polish modified T-72s, named the PT-91, which would be then further modified for Malaysian terrains, known as the PT-91M. Singapore then turned towards Krauss-Maffei Wegmann and the Bundeswehr to purchase excess Leopard 2A4s, which had been in storage, replaced by better variants of the Leopard 2s. In 2006, a year before Malaysia started delivery of their MBTs, 96 2A4s were ordered and taken delivery to Singapore. Modernization work started in 2010, with upgrade packages taken from IBD Dyson-Roth Engineering, opting for an advanced modular armor protection kit. Further upgrades in 2016 also included better FCS and a whole new Commander thermal camera system, with further purchases made in the years to come. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Schnitzel Stroker, Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, B. Young, Opium Prime, Masonocrat, Lafouche, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.